Hello on the Rockers. Get ready for a little night music with a powerhouse trio, CelloVoci, made up of Branden from America's Got Talent, his husband, cellist James, who's worked with A-listers from Broadway and beyond, and Effie Passero from American Idol and Postmodern Jukebox. I'm already getting all tongue-tied here. And me, your sassy host with the sassy most. Raise a glass as the drinks begin. It's On the Rocks.
Hey, hello.
Hey,
Hi.
Thank you for being.
Life is a banquet, and most poor suckers are starving to death.
I'd like to propose a toast.
This is On the Rocks with Alexander, where I drink with your favorite celebrities as we talk about fashion, entertainment, pop culture, reality TV, and, well, that's about it. So pop a cork, lean back, and raise a glass to On the Rocks.
Fasten your seatbelt. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Ooh. Lord have mercy. Buns and pose and pantyhose on the Rocks podcast, place where we're too glam to give a damn. Okay, I saw Wicked, everybody. I saw it, and we know I'm a big bitch, and I was probably going to be like, it wasn't good. It was so good. It was so good. So, okay. I guess I can't be a bitch today. I'll try. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at On The Rocks On Air and on Facebook On The Rocks Radio Show. Send me an email. Book me for a pride, wedding, funeral, quinceañera, bris. I don't care. I'll show up. Info at ontherocksradioshow.com. Send us your comments, your guest requests, and your guest questions. The show's presented by Straw Hat Media. You can now listen to our over 392 episodes for free at ontherocksradioshow.com. You can watch us on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV on the Outlet.tv app, Facebook Watch on GED Magazine, and I Love LGBTQ, streaming with pride on SVTV and on Channel 31 on the East Coast. Hello, East Coast. We proudly tape at UB & Go Studios, your one-stop place for podcasting. Let's get this show on the road. CelloVoci is a newly formed classical crossover group starring internationally renowned cello and vocal duo Branden James, along with powerhouse singer-songwriter Effie Passero. Since forming a group during the pandemic, they have toured extensively all over the West Coast, East Coast, and Midwestern United States, along with several cities in Mexico. They recently recorded their first collaborative album entitled Happy Days. Girl, I listened to it twice through without moving an inch. They also made their Carnegie Hall debut to sold-out audience, and separately, Branden James have been impressing audiences around the globe for over a decade with their unique arrangements and undeniable charm and wit. Branden James, the duo of singer and pianist, was a finalist on Season 8 of America's Got Talent and is an award-winning published author. Australian cellist James Clark was a featured cellist for Olivia Newton-John, Bernadette Peters, and Idina Menzel before collaborating with Branden. And Effie, after finishing as a semifinalist on American Idol, she's made a name for herself touring the globe with Scott Bradley's Postmodern Jukebox. Her viral music videos with the globally famous jazz collective have amassed millions of views on YouTube. Let's take a little sneak peek at CelloVoci.
People can expect a show from the three of us as epic musical collaborations, a lot of laughs on stage. We try not to take each other too seriously, a lot of creative arrangements. We really just like to have a good time. We're all kind of music nerds at heart.
The performance was magnificent. First of all, when I've seen them before, it's been in the club. This was a long performance. It was beautiful. I drove 90 miles from Minneapolis. I brought my cousins with me to see because they're so wonderful.
So it's a real joy just to create music together, but I also think that working together, we kind of elevate each other's performance to a new level.
Singing with pop music and the arrangements, blending the classical with the popular, inventive, and their stage presence is amazing. They're engaging. It was just terrific from start to finish.
All right, please welcome CelloVoci.
Hi! Cheers, everyone.
Cheers,
Hey.
cheers, cheers. Take a swig. Number one, I have to know, where are y'all at? Because I know you're all over the globe. Where are you at right now?
It is Wednesday in Australia for us.
Yeah, so we're back to the future or something. It's
Yes.
like 1:30 p.m. in Adelaide.
Yes, welcome to the future, everybody.
And I'm in beautiful Redding, California.
Woohoo!
Not as exotic as Australia, unfortunately, but oh well.
Okay, I have a question. I've known you guys for years and years. How is it that I'm aging every day and you guys have not aged one like day? You guys look the same as years and years ago. What's the secret to your
Gotta give you our
success?
plastic surgeon's number.
Yeah. It's just Botox face.
Oh, that's why you're in Australia. A little nip tuck down under?
Yeah. No, that's why we go to Mexico
Oh.
every 6 months.
Well, Mexico's the place to go, right?
Yeah.
Now, the three of you met during the pandemic in Puerto Vallarta, but I want to back up a little bit. As artists separately, where were you career-wise when the pandemic hit, and what was going through your minds when everything was shut down?
I just happened to be in Mexico when the world shut down. I was touring with Spencer J. Do you know Spencer, Alex?
Yes, of course I do.
So I was doing some work with him, and we were working on kind of like a duo just journey together, and then everything shut down, so we decided to wait it out in Mexico, and waiting it out turned into moving there for me. So yeah.
But like
Kind of a
how
crazy story.
terrifying to be in like a foreign land and then knowing that, hey, gigs are from one day to the next gone.
Yeah, it was very terrifying. I remember we had one gig lined up in Puerto Vallarta, and they didn't cancel it, but a lot of the people that were supposed to come canceled their reservations and flew home to wherever they came from, obviously. So we ended up singing at the restaurant for all of 8 people, and we ended up only singing 3 songs and just sobbing because everyone was so confused. And so the owner of the restaurant just poured us all a bunch of wine, and we all sat there just kind of in a stupor because nobody knew what was going on.
Oh.
So it was very terrifying.
Boys.
We we were in New York City when the world shut down. We'd actually just flown back from Los Angeles, and winter was approaching, and we're like, it's so cold, and we love Puerto Vallarta. We'd been spending years there before that, and we thought, let's go somewhere where it's warm. We know we can be outside. There's at least an outside culture. We can eat at some restaurants that are open, and it's safe, and we can be on the beach. And that was kind of just a much happier idea of a place to be than to be shut in our apartment in Manhattan. So.
It's true, but that was after we spent 3.5 months playing virtual shows every week. So the day that the world shut down, we went to Guitar Center in Times Square and bought everything we needed to broadcast shows from our apartment.
With like gloves on and masks and all the things, the gas mask, because no one knew what was going on.
We bought mics and lights and cameras and you name it. We had it so we could do shows, and we just came up with a new theme every week and did that, and then
But how scary is it to see our art, as talented as you all are, how fragile being an artist really is. We are at the whim of so many different elements, no matter what kind of skill you have. That's, to me, the scariest thing.
It was depressing. It was, and we saw Shoshana Bean do an online thing, and we were like, oh, we got to jump on this because this is what's going to keep people going for the next while. People artists, but also people at home who had nothing to do that needed something to listen and tune into. Like so many people told us that our weekly shows kind of kept them going, and that we felt like we were doing a community service in that way. And they were super generous to us too, kind of kept us financially afloat for those 12 weeks. So it was crazy. And performing in a broadcast studio, as you are well aware, feels like performing in a vacuum. There's no energy exchange with people. You don't get any applause when you finish a song. We could see emojis coming up on the screen.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the same kind of vibe though as live performance.
No, but I could have a flask like in my hip off camera. And
Yeah, there you go.
All right. So the mythology for your trio goes is you met while doing a benefit for staff at a local theater. Can you tell us about the tale of this infamous coming together of the Charmed Ones?
Go ahead, Brandon. You're good at this one.
Yeah, I mean, we'd first seen Effie maybe the week previous or two with Spencer Day, and like she mentioned, there was like 8 people in the audience that night because it was just impossible. We kind of all. It seemed like it wasn't just our idea to rush down to Puerto Vallarta in the middle of the pandemic. It was what a wonderful place to be because it's warm and lovely. But there were so many artists there, and maybe 2 or 3 shows a night, and just too much entertainment for the lack of tourism that was in town and the people that were we were in a place that was semi enclosed, and a lot of people were just too afraid to come inside. No matter how many measures they took to keep it safe, a lot of people just weren't showing up. So it was really like if you could get 20 people at your show at that time, then you were doing well. So I always wanted to see Effie. I knew about her. Spencer's a longtime friend, so we went in and saw this show called Come Together, and they opened I think with I Want to Dance with Somebody, which was like so funny to watch Spencer Day sing a Whitney Houston song. I never thought that would happen in my life. But just when she opened her mouth, I was like, I want to be her friend.
So then we didn't actually have much chance to hang out together before the Palm where we were, this cabaret performance venue we were at in Puerto Vallarta. We wanted to do something to help out all the staff there. So the artists decided to put on this benefit where we would live stream it and people were able to make donations. And I will never forget this moment because we had not, I don't think I'd met Effie yet, and she was on stage, or like a bunch of artists just hanging out in the seating, waiting for their turn and kind of chatting quietly while people were doing their thing on stage. And as soon as she opened her mouth and started singing her original song, Simply Happy, the whole room went silent. You could hear a pin drop. Yeah. And everyone was kind of gobsmacked by the sound coming out of this beautiful woman. And that she'd written this song as well. Everyone was couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. So
and also in that moment at that time, for the collective purpose that we came together to help the staff, where the venue was shut down for a month and they literally need their salaries to eat. Yep. It was just such a tender moment to listen to that beautiful song, those lyrics, and to share that moment collectively. It was really special.
So then we chatted, as people do, in a green room after the show, and just kind of said, hey, we've been doing these virtual shows. We'd love for you to come along if you want. And I believe that she rocked up to our rehearsal with a tray of
homemade pot stickers.
Yeah.
Oh my Lord, Effie, you've never given me pot stickers.
I learned how to make them during the pandemic. That was, some people learn how to make sourdough bread. Or, garden or whatever. But nope, I learned how to make Asian food. That was my hobby. During the end of the world.
Some chilled tequila, and we were.
Yeah, it was.
That's all you need. That's all you need.
Thing, yeah.
Now, so you started doing live streaming during the pandemic. During your first few jam sessions, what did you have to learn right away about the other person and the way that they worked? Like, what did you need to just grab onto and learn from the other person?
Me personally, I've worked with Spencer before, but not ever like a group, and I guess 3 people coming together is a group. So I had to learn. I've always been on time, but I needed to learn like how to utilize other people's time correctly and not fool around as much. It's okay to be silly, but the end of the world was upon us, and we had this responsibility to do these shows together online, and so I had to learn how to appropriate my time and do things with conviction and realize that these shows meant a lot to a lot of people. If it had just been me, I would have been doing silly, like getting wasted on the screen and making jokes and trying to make people feel better. But the 3 of us coming together really taught me that what we were doing was really, really important. So it was a good lesson to learn for sure.
I think that's Effie's very polite way of saying that I'm anally retentive.
No!
And very much a task. We got to get this shit done. Let's do it.
No, not at all.
I was going to say, I didn't really have to learn anything because you're so easy to work with.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I think we rehearsed for the hour before the broadcast, and just in that time, I was able to really understand how similar our musical sensibilities were, and quickly the adjustment just kind of happened naturally. There wasn't any work involved. It was just like we just had to open our mouths and sing and play our music. And I knew that she was going to slot in so well to what we're doing because literally our training is the same. The way we approach music and musicality is kind of all, it's just right in the same vein. So it was a really easy match.
And that's interesting because Branden James, you guys have toured together. Your music is together. You can communicate without even having to like look at each other. You can feel that, and then you bring in this big voice, this big personality to the mix. Did that change the way Branden James, the way that you communicated with each other? Was it like a fresh, like, oh, like just something so different?
It was like a layer of our sound that was always missing in a sense because we suddenly had this treble voice, musically speaking, just higher than what James and I produced instrumentally and vocally, and it was just so magical.
Yeah, and it wasn't any effort or it didn't feel like hard work at all. It just kind of came together so naturally. And it didn't interrupt our flow of what we were able to do. It just kind of added to it, I would say.
And right at the gate, the trio has been so successful with all of your tour dates. Obviously, Carnegie Hall, your debut album, Happy Days. What do audiences love so much about the three of you?
I think.
What's not to love?
Well,
I know what I love, girl.
That part. I think what people see kind of right off the bat within the first 3 numbers is that there's a genuine connection and friendship, and that we love each other so much, and we're not afraid to be silly on stage together. We have a lot of tender moments in our show, but also we have some genuinely funny moments where we get to showcase our personalities. And so when people see those 3 things come together, as well as hear the harmonies and the instrumentation and all the beautiful things that we create together, I just think the combination of everything all at once is really genuine, and people don't really get to see that much anymore when they go to a concert or a recital. So I think it's unique, and I think people really appreciate it.
Ditto.
There we go.
They're men of many words.
Yes. Now, it's one thing to jam together. It's one thing to get up on stage and do a great show. But in creating a new group, you have to look at the business side of it, the travel side of it, the booking side of it. What have been some of the biggest challenges in getting this trio off the ground?
I had to renew my driver's license after 4.5 years, and
Wow.
that turned out to be actually very difficult for me because I apparently forgot how to drive. That was
Effie
a whole thing.
Effie's 4'11", is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we rented a big giant Suburban for our first tour vehicle.
Yeah, literally, I had to push the seat all the way up, and then it had its like own booster seat that it was able to rise, and so you just see this little tiny minion-sized girl with a hoodie and everything, and just like, and then I fall getting out of the car because it's too high.
I was scared for my life, but she's a damn good driver.
I'm a decent driver, okay? Don't ask me to parallel park, but I'll get you where you need to go. But no, what would be a serious? I think because we all travel so much individually as well. I think we just happened to be in Puerto Vallarta at the same time so that we could record this album and get it going. But it is difficult. Obviously, we're in 2 very different places right now. But because James is so well organized and not anal retentive at all, we're able to get all of these interviews and all this excitement done and off the ground, and it hasn't been much trouble at all, honestly. It's been really, really great.
No, it's a little bit daunting, if I will say. I do a lot of the bookings for us, and am looking after social media to a certain extent, and starting kind of from the ground up again is daunting. Like, we have our names and Effie has her names, and if we put the 3 of us on the bill, everyone shows up. But now that we're CelloVoci, and our Instagram is just starting from the ground up, and our bookings are just starting from the ground up, it's a whole new game. It's like being a brand new artist again, who's just starting out with some recognition, but the name in itself isn't enough to get us there. So we have to to do other creative things to make sure people know that we're the people that they're coming to see.
Yeah.
Branden,
That's a good point.
And Branden and Effie, I want to talk to you about your appearance on reality TV. Talk to us about the reality of being on reality TV. Your final episode airs, and then there's, okay, most people think, oh, they've been on TV, now they're famous, now this and that. What is some of the actual reality that you had to deal with when your time on the show was over?
Actually, not too dissimilar to what Branden just said about starting from the ground up again. Because when you're on the TV, you're getting all this like praise and people are kind, or they're tearing you apart, which is a whole different side of the internet that you don't like. But when it came to, getting work when I was eliminated, it was all about how much tenacity you had and what you were willing to do, your ambition. So ultimately, after a few months of working, my reputation was because I was a good worker, not because I was on TV, not because I made it X amount into the show. It was a good experience for sure, and I definitely appreciate what it's done for my life. But it also has its fair share of terror in there.
It's a tricky world being an artist. I don't think we're ever really satisfied with our work entirely, but you kind of you know that at some point you realize when you've been doing this for a long time that your music, your sound, your talent touches other people, and I think that's what continues. That's why you keep going, even though it's hard, and income can be inconsistent, work can be inconsistent, but we keep persevering anyway, don't we?
Yes.
Now it's been almost 10 years.
I know.
Now, James, you've worked with many, many amazing artists. Who's a bigger diva, Branden or Bernadette Peters?
Oh, Branden for sure. No, Bernadette was a consummate professional, but definitely also a diva for sure. But
she's got perkier shit.
She has really good. Yeah.
But James,
you can find the starting note of a tune better than she can, though.
Oh, really?
Oh, okay.
Can I dish some tea right now?
Yes, please do. Have another sip. Take another sip.
She it was a small orchestra that I played in for her, like 2 cellos and other strings and whatnot, for her performance in the Adelaide Festival Theatre as part of our cabaret festival. It's quite a big deal here in Adelaide. And she wanted to sing Fever.
Okay.
Everybody know how much I love you. Exactly that phrase. Never know how much that one. And both nights she fucked it up because she was doing an a cappella and didn't get the right note, and they had to in post-production fix the
oh my Lord.
Not have like in-ears that would
no.
But you know what? That's good to hear. Like, musicians are just like, other musicians. Just because you have a big name and a Tony Award and all that doesn't mean you don't have your off days or that you're just not prone to other things.
Look, I think everyone makes a mistake in every single performance, and us as classical musicians are trained to be perfect, and that's just not the reality. Music is not a perfect expression. Sometimes it's the flaws are what makes music beautiful, because the flaws are in the expression. So it drives me crazy that in classical music we're like, it's drilled into us that you can't make any mistakes, but I think the mistakes are where sometimes the magic lies.
Yeah. Now, Branden and James, you create music together, you work together, you tour together, but you also have to take care of all of the bullshit that a married couple has to deal with, such as bills, such as, like household and all this. How do you keep the relationship, how do you keep the spark in the relationship? How do you keep a healthy relationship when you guys are literally together 24/7 with all the added pressures of work and home?
Therapy and booze.
Okay.
Just kidding.
That's fair.
Just kidding. No, we're not even anywhere around to do therapy if we wanted to. We are good communicators. Branden is especially a good communicator.
Does that mean he shouts a lot?
Sometimes.
He is not afraid to bring up the conversations that need to be had that you might not want to have, really, if they're kind of whatever,
I have 2 important rules. Actually, just one important rule, and it applies to this stage and when we go to bed at night, and that's like that we resolve conflicts before it happens. Audiences can tell if you go on stage and you're pissed at each other.
Yeah.
Like they're much more perceptive than we give them credit for sometimes. So I'll never let that happen. Like even if we're in an argument, we give each other a hug and a little kiss, and we go our separate ways and we have a good show. And if we go to bed at night and something's unresolved, we do the same thing because life is too short to just be angry at each other. I just don't believe in that. I just don't think. I think we're adults and we can be mature about it and agree to resolve our differences in that moment and continue the discussion the next day.
All right,
for us, that's work.
It has actually. That's been one of the biggest lessons I've had to learn because I love resentment and holding on to shit forever.
Me too, girl. I'm Latino. We'll do it till we hit the grave. Yeah.
But I always tell them, don't be bitter, be better.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Now, okay, I'm so nosy. What do you guys fight about the most? Like, what is you're like, oh God, I know we're going to fight about this.
What do we fight about the most? Which
Stupid shit. Honestly, we're both Geminis. Making a decision about anything is ridiculous. We can both see way too many sides of the coin, and all we do is just kind of make all the observations about what could be right or wrong about things, and then never actually make a fucking decision.
So we fight about like where we're gonna eat for dinner tonight,
what we're gonna have for food, which dip in the fridge to open, which it's ridiculous. It's like nothing important actually. I feel like we're pretty on the same page in most of the important life things, which I guess is why we're together. Like apart from the friendship, we don't have any major sticking points about things really.
No, I don't really hold any resentment toward you. We're just good friends. I feel like if we weren't romantically involved, that we would be at the pub, like hanging out and having a beer and just being friends.
Well, and we know part of any friendship, part of any relationship, there's ups and downs. You're going to have your rough days, and then you just barrel through because no one's going anywhere.
And as they say in Bridesmaids, they have this whole back and forth about whether people change or not.
Yes.
I don't think people really change. I think they change all the time.
Yeah.
And there's also, we talk about that quite a lot because, I mean, you kind of have to let the person, if we have to allow each other to evolve.
Yeah.
We're not going to be exactly the same as when we met. And as Ben Platt says in his cute little song, "Grow as we go," you can grow right next to me. That's kind of our allowance for one another, is to just let life unfold and do it together.
And I'm sure many men have grown next to you. Effie.
We'll save that for the next.
Damn.
Now, Effie, you have been very open. You talked about heartbreak. It's inspired music from you. It's inspired poetry from you. And it flows out because of your ups and downs in relationships. Is it hard to find love as a singer roaming the world?
Ooh, yes. It is as much fun as it is to traipse around and have lots of little dalliances around the world. It is hard to find meaningful connections. I've met a few men and women here and there who are really beautiful souls, and if times were different or if I wasn't a traveling person as much, then maybe. But I mean, even when I'm back home in Mexico, I'm only home for about 2 weeks at a time. So usually I'll meet somebody and I just am enamored by them, and then it's time for me to leave for 3 or 4 months. So it's exhausting, but I get so much good material out of it, right? So I utilize the dating apps and see what's out there. And if it's a bad date, then usually I get some really great comedy material out of it. Or sometimes I get a really beautiful song. You never know. I just met a guy from Baton Rouge the other night, so we'll see.
That's a
Maybe I'll
song
write
right
some-
there.
I know.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll get a song out of that one. But you know what? It's okay because it'll happen when it happens, right? I'm not really necessarily looking anymore. I'm just kind of in that zone, trying to do what's best for me. And my career is really important to me, and this project with the boys is really important. So I have my head on a little straighter than it used to be, but it is what it is. It'll be fine.
And you've also shared parts of your life that have been challenging. Your growing up, your current challenges. You aren't afraid to shy away from the reality of life with your fans. Do you ever have any trepidation about sharing so much of yourself?
Every once in a while, I wonder if my vulnerability and transparency comes through as disingenuous, but it is honestly one of my favorite parts about being kind of in the spotlight with X amount of people, because I think they appreciate hearing somebody they look up to or really like. I think they appreciate just hearing that other people are going through things that are relatable, and regardless of what it is, whether it's a heartbreak or if it's weight gain or I'm having a hard time with my diet, or I have PCOS, which a lot of women have but don't realize. And not a lot of people talk about it, or my mental health. There's so much stigma around mental health. And I just feel like if you have a following and you have that voice and you can make people understand that they're not alone, I think that's really important. So no trepidations besides maybe I overshare, but I don't mind. I don't really care anymore. Why not?
Well, and the more we talk about it, the more we realize that we all have kind of the same issues. We all deal with mental health. We all deal with depression. We all deal with the highs and lows of love. Like, that's something that unifies all of us, no matter who you are.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, let's talk about the album Happy Days. It sounds like you guys have been together for years and years and years. The album is so pristine. It's so perfect. What was the most important thing you wanted to get across in putting the album together? What's the mission of the album, other than showing off your amazing talents?
I think we wanted people to know, or to be able to take away with them a highlights reel of what our shows are like, actually. So it's kind of a lot of collaborative stuff, but there's also moments where Branden and I do things, and moments where Effie does something, and then a moment where Effie and I do things. We wanted it to feel, we kind of joked that our shows should be called musical chairs, because we're all play the piano, that we all sing, and we all kind of switch around a little bit. And we kind of wanted the album to give people a glimpse of that.
That's it?
Anyone else?
That's it.
I think the biggest thing that I wanted to communicate in that project was the sincerity that we carry on stage. I wanted it to come through in the recordings. And I feel like for the most part we were able to achieve that. Listening to recordings of myself is always something I never want to do twice. But that's just the nature of the beast in a recording studio. But I think communicating our sincere friendship, our musical connection, and then our musicality was something that was really important to me. And I think we captured a lot of those both tender moments, but also really exciting moments on the album.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And I think I really love the way that this album kind of has a nostalgic feel to it, but then you're hearing these songs for the first time like this. You know I Put a Spell on You, but you've never heard it with Beethoven, obviously. And you've heard Hotel California, but you've never heard it with Besame Mucho. And so it's just like this exciting little kind of game, can you guess what this is before it reaches the chorus or something? So I also like audiences to get the playfulness out of this album as well, because as moving as some of this music is, I think we have a playful relationship with music as well as a serious one. And I love that, and I hope that audiences and listeners appreciate and see that as well.
So I don't want to give away too much of the album, but we're going to take a little sample. We're going to listen to The Prayer, which is a single from the album, just for our audience to get a little taste of that. Tony, if you will.
this be a brand? Just like every child. Just like every child. Need to find a place. Guide us with your grace. Give us faith so we'll be safe. And our feathered curve, iron chest alone. Sento che ci salve.
Girl. Girl. I wanted to play that because we hear so many different textures in that one song, in just that little phrase. So everybody has to go get Happy Days. Branden, how do you think your voice has changed the most since your time on America's Got Talent?
When I was on the show, I was still singing at the opera in Chicago, and I definitely had less experience with crossover and pop than I do now. So I feel like over the years, I've learned to control my vibrato more and to adapt to different styles than I ever could before.
And do you think you've added maybe, life experiences as well, and that adds a different texture?
Yes, I actually love the way that a singer progresses over time who's been doing it a long time, because you hear, there's all kinds of more experience. There's more pain, there's more anguish, there's more joy, there's more just life in someone's voice or someone's sound. I always think about the recordings that Johnny Cash did so late in life when he covered all these amazing rock songs and pop songs, and just to hear all the pain that was in him. And I always say that I don't want to have old man voice, but because I'm a classical singer, and it's that perfection thing that I was talking about that's been driven into me. But I think it's okay someday if I don't sound as good as I used to, as long as I'm still communicating heart, then that's what's supposed to come through.
And Effie, we know you're the chameleon of voices: rock, musical theater, jazz, opera, classic, like just whatever. I mean, you can master it. How did you fashion all these voices growing up? How did you cultivate that? And how do you change your mindset when you sing in these different genres?
I honestly never know how to answer this question, but I think it's because I was lucky enough to have parents that incubated my love for music instead of kind of keeping me away from it. So I started voice lessons by the time I was 5. I started piano when I was 5, and my mom found a really good teacher who didn't really put me in a lane because I was 5. So she was just kind of teaching me little, warm-ups and easy songs for me to kind of learn how to keep on melody and how to sight read and all this stuff. And then as I got older, I started doing musical theater and community theaters. And so I grew up with musical theater. And then by the time I was 11, I was doing opera, which I thought I was going to hate. And I thought it was the lamest thing ever. But my mom just said, give it a shot. And then when I did, it was Pirates of Penzance is the first operetta that I ever did. And I fell in love with it. And it's difficult. And I liked the challenge. And then I worked in kids music for a while, a YouTube channel that did kids music. And I just love being able to do anything. And so I kind of taught my voice how to change. And then with all of the different techniques, it's easy. My brain just kind of switches into different modes of Effie, I guess. I love it. I love it.
We got questions about your time with Postmodern Jukebox. We know that for a lot of singers, that's a bucket list, thing to have on your resume. How did you get to be part of that group? And then you go viral with them. How did that affect you?
I I mean, the last it'll be 3 years that I've been with them coming up, and it's just blown my mind. So I actually met with Scott Bradley in March of 2020, right before I left for Mexico, which is just hilarious. I met with him. He was still working out of LA, so I met up at his house in Studio City, and we were just going through music. He had heard of me from Spencer, actually, and and so we did like a quick little snippet of the Malcolm in the Middle theme song. And we had decided on a video. I was gonna do Wild Horses by Rolling Stones, which I still want to do. But he was like, hey, when you get back from Mexico, have a good vacation. When you get back, let me know and we'll record Rolling Stones song. And I was like, great, cool. I was so excited, And then the world crashed and burned and we went through that whole thing. And I thought that's it. I lost my chance to have this bucket list experience, because it totally is, for music nerds, a bucket list experience to work with them. And then at the end of 2020, like towards the end of 2021, I noticed they were starting to put out new content. So I reached out to Scott and I said, hey, I would love to still do that video if that's okay. And then he was busy and I was in Mexico and it just never worked. He moved to Nashville. And so I was like, damn it, it's just not working out. And then January of 2022, I got an email from PMJ's manager, and he said, hey, I know you haven't worked with anybody yet, but we're putting our post-pandemic tour together, and we were wondering if you want to hop on. And it was so overwhelming. I was literally in the club, like checking my emails like a totally normal person. And then I got this email. And so I'm just like crying in the Palm Club where Branden James and I and Spencer sing.
In the club.
Up in the club, just sobbing. And I was like, and I called my mom. And so by February I was off in Nashville, my first time in Nashville, and like thrust upon all of these strangers, all of whom I consider literal family now. So it's been such a life-changing experience, and I'm so grateful for every moment, even in a hotel room in Redding, California.
Well, and with them, like, you literally got to travel the world in so many different parts of the world too, not just the usual spots. What did traveling the globe, how did that change your outlook on life as a whole?
I think I've always been more open to experiences. I'm a very adventurous and curious person in general. But seeing the world at this rate, it's kind of, it's difficult and it's beautiful and it's incredible. Sometimes we're in a city for less than 10 hours. Sometimes we're in a country for less than 10 hours before we leave for the next one. But it's definitely taught me how to be more patient with people from all walks of life. I've always had a long fuse, but sometimes you depend on a complete stranger to tell you how to get to a train station, or maybe you really need a cup of coffee and you're like, please, my phone is dead and I just really need a Starbucks. Can you tell me where to go? And it's taught me that, people are so kind everywhere. Of course you get a few bad eggs here and there, but the world has so much beauty to offer, and you got to be open to it.
All right, CelloVoci, what is one of the funniest or craziest on-stage experiences, or while you were touring? Like, what's a memory that sticks out that you're like, oh my Lord, I can't believe that?
On stage or just from tour?
Either.
Okay, because we got stuck in Colorado. That was a fun one.
Oh, when the car broke down.
Yeah.
What did you do?
Yeah,
did you just like hang out?
Sterling, Colorado, and we had like quite a while. It was like a 5-hour drive, wasn't it? 6 hours maybe, the other side of Denver to Glenwood Springs, and our car broke down. But baby reindeer got us through while we were waiting for another car to be delivered.
Oh yeah, we did watch that.
We panicked. We called everyone in the area about, like, can we get a new car, because we had to get to Denver at least to exchange the old car. And the guy on the phone was like, there's not so much as a wheelbarrow to rent in this area.
I'll never forget that.
We thought we were going to be stuck there for a week.
It was
All right,
pretty chaotic. It was pretty chaotic. But I don't know. We don't really have any crazy stories yet. I'm sure the more that we travel together and the more that
There
we do,
was
but
that one little moment in Carnegie Hall where Branden and I were reading from a different set list than the rest of the people on stage, and I started one song and no one joined in.
oh yeah, I forgot about
That was
that.
backstage.
That was a special moment.
Bernadette Peters was somewhere going, ha ha ha.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
That's what you
Our
get.
biggest performance of our life, and we wrote the wrong set list.
All right, let's talk about Carnegie Hall. What is going through your minds minutes before you're supposed to take the stage? It's Carnegie Hall.
I think we were all very excited and I wouldn't say jittery, but we were just like kind of just taking in the moment. And the day of, I just woke up and I was like, I feel like we're genuinely where we are meant to be at this time. Like I just felt like so at peace and so happy, and I managed to get through the whole show without crying until the very end, because James wrote this really beautiful arrangement before one of our pieces, and it just moved me to tears, which then other people started crying in the audience because I was sobbing. But yeah, it was just it was such an amazing day, and the half hour leading up to the show, it was just like, wow, I can't believe we're here and we're doing this together, and I just love these guys so much, and yay, all that.
And there was a lot of love in the room. That was the thing I was actually most nervous about, because when you get married, for both of you, if you do, there's someone described.
If you do. Did you notice how we say if you do?
Wow.
Thanks, James. I really appreciate
I
that.
don't assume anything. Just it's a thing. But one of our friends who is married had told us leading up to our wedding that it's like a Care Bear stare with like all this love energy at you, and it's kind of beautiful and quite overwhelming, and I kind of felt like that was going to be the energy in the room in Carnegie, because literally a lot of our friends and fans and family had made effort to be there, and so I knew, like, we probably knew 90% of the audience there. Like it was a lot of people that really care about us. And so as soon as all three of us were on stage, walked out on stage, there was just a giant Care Bear stare at us.
Yeah.
Of like love and affection and wanting us to succeed, and all this kind of beautifully positive energy. It's the only way I can describe it. But in hooting and hollering and applause and stuff, it just was electric, and it just felt so special.
It was definitely our dream to perform on that stage, but it was also the audience's dream and wish to have us there.
That's a good point.
They wanted the best for us, and to feel that love and to see the ovations in the middle of songs sometimes it's just welling for us, because that doesn't happen every
You can't help but like smile. I just felt like I was giggling half the time. Like, this is ridiculous. Yeah. My cheeks still hurt, actually.
All right, we see the polished CelloVoci. We see, you know, all dressed up on social media. We see the clips. We hear this beautiful album. But what do you guys really do to put that all away, to unwind, to really have fun? What's the most un-CelloVoci thing that you guys do to unwind?
Talk about 3 a.m. after the bars close.
Wait, what?
I said talk about 3 a.m. after the bars close.
Or Culver's milkshakes. We're touring them in the best.
And Culver's has the cheese curds, right?
Yeah,
oh yeah,
yes.
I haven't tried those.
Custard things, all
yes,
things.
yes.
Okay.
We all do like to drink quite a bit, so there's like
especially
drunken bowling moments.
I love that.
Oh yeah, bowling.
We were touring to some pretty rural places in the Midwest, and we stuffed the world's largest Jolly Green Giant.
Yeah, we tried to see as many roadside attractions as we could.
I love that shit. Like, here's the biggest Reynolds Wrap ball or something, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
The Spam Museum.
I have a Spam Museum in my kitchen.
It's true. For presenting quite sophisticated music, we can all be pretty basic, I would say. We like to dress down quite a lot to be comfy.
Are you guys like listening to Britney in the car though? Like, what are you listening to in the car?
Kylie
We listen to a lot
Minogue.
of true crime podcasts. We're
Okay.
listening to Kylie Minogue's new album.
Yes.
We ran the whole gamut.
We really run the gamut of
Classical stuff.
deep house music sometimes.
Yeah.
Choral music.
Oh, I love choral music.
we do it all.
Give me a Rudder Requiem any day.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, as queer artists, your shows are not necessarily queer. Your audiences are not necessarily queer. Is that important to your music? Does that play a part in it?
I think our music is just generally universal, and I don't think it's really leading towards any specific type of person, and I think that's what makes it even more beautiful. It's like anyone can enjoy this and love it and feel
Our
connected
music
to
is
it.
pan.
Yeah, representation.
But and you know, I love that because audiences are coming together. You're with audiences of all ages, and I think in the upcoming years, that's going to be so important is building bridges with, let's say, the conservative side or an older side who can hear your story and get to experience your music and your love in such a non-prophetizing way. You know, it's like
that's the power of what music can do, right?
Yes.
It's a healing language that we all understand and brings us all together.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel so grateful to be able to communicate that to other people because, God, now more than ever, I feel like we're saying that every year, but it's true. We need to be unified. We need to find some common ground. It's a tricky time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Okay. We know the success. Whoa! What did I just say?
Whoa!
Oh, suddenly I was like, let me pour another glass.
Yeah, woo! I am going to WeHo after this. No. The success that you, the trio has already had, the success that you have had individually. We know that someday there's going to be a biopic about the formation and the success of CelloVoci. Let's say that movie's being made today. Who's playing you in the film?
Oh shit.
I'll take a Hemsworth brother.
Yeah, okay. Totally see that.
The Australian accent.
Yeah. Okay.
Point.
I don't know if Pink could
Oh, yes.
shrink a couple inches,
Yes.
and then she just has to dye her hair dark brown. But I think, or Kelly Osbourne. I'm trying to think of like other women who are badass.
Yeah.
badass personalities. But
Who's another fake blonde pushing 50? Ryan Seacrest? I don't know.
oh, I thought you were talking about me. I was like,
I know. I was like, wow. Okay. Wow. That was under the bus.
oh golly.
Actually, if there's a
Brad
Hemsworth brother
Pitt.
that wants to learn the cello to play me, I'd be willing to teach him.
Oh, I'm sure you would. It's like, this
we'll
is how
make
you
that
finger the bow, girl. What kind of legacy do you want to build as an individual, and what kind of legacy do you want to build with CelloVoci?
Ooh. Golly, I don't really know. I know that I would love to just be remembered as a good soul and a good person, and be respected in my field as a musician. And I think just being a good person and doing what was right at the time, and always standing by my values and opinions, more so than myself as a musician. So we'll see what my legacy turns out to be.
It's a great question, actually. I don't know. I've struggled so much with feeling like I have anything to say as a cellist who's not the world's best cellist. If you catch my drift. I mean, there's like concerto playing cellists who are technically much better than me, and I've always felt like that means that what I have to say doesn't matter as much, but I don't think that's true. And so I think I want my legacy to be that I made people feel something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it's about kindness. I think conveying kindness and being known as a person who purported kind ideas and that treating people fairly and with respect is something that I would like people to remember me by.
All right. So I know you have more tour dates for the new year. When are you coming to the West Coast? Palm Springs, LA, San Diego, San Francisco.
We're doing Palm Springs in March, but not with Effie.
No, we're gonna.
How dare you?
I know.
She was busy.
We will have some summer dates on the West Coast in San Francisco. That's in the works. I just don't have contracts yet to announce them, but stay tuned.
All right. You know, I love just chatting with you. So in our final question, what is your message to your fans?
Follow us at cellovoci.com. Our
Straight to
Instagram
business.
Yeah.
needs a little help. So if you want to send all your friends there, that'd be great.
My message is that in this current climate, all over the world, I would say, but particularly in North America, that I want people to lead with tolerance and kindness in all of their interactions. I think that we have to choose to be the kind of people that we want the world to be, and I think that we need to not let division and hate continue to divide us. We have to choose light and love and choose to see commonalities and humanity in other people, even if they voted for someone different than us or look different or whatever it is, whatever their creed is. I think that no matter what the things are that separate us, there are still more that makes us similar than not, and I think we need to remember that a little more.
Yeah. That's beautiful, James. I guess my message would be for those who are new to our music, thank you for giving us a try. And we hope that you follow us for the years to come. And then for those of you who have been following us either individually or since you saw us for the first time in Mexico together, thank you for coming on this journey with us together. And we hope you stick around because it's only up from here. And we hope to see you every step of the way. So thank you all for being with us. I guess that's my main thing.
And I'm telling all of our listeners, listen to Happy Days album. Great gift for the holidays. Great album to play with the family when you're at Thanksgiving. It is truly a special, special album. It takes you on an emotional journey, and it's very in the world where we have so much noise, auto-tune, and electric beats. It's so nice to remember what real music is and what real musicians sound like. So I definitely encourage everybody to go do that. I miss you guys. When you guys come here on the West Coast, we're going to party.
Yes,
Oh,
please.
I hope so. Let's do it.
All right, boys, go have fun for the rest of your afternoon. Effie, I hope you order another bottle of wine in, room service, and party the night away.
I'm going gambling. Let's go.
Oh, yes.
Hey!
Love seeing you guys. Thank you so much. And that's it, folks. It's always a grab bag of fun here every weekend on The Rocks. Big thank you to our engineer and station owner, Tony Sweet. Please like, share, subscribe so we can continue bringing this fabulous programming coming your way for free. Until next time, stay happy, stay healthy, stay sexy, and if you drink, stay tipsy.
Yeah. Bye, Oliver.
Thank you so much, Alexander.
On The Rocks. Tweet me and slide into my DMs on Twitter and Instagram at On The Rocks On Air. Find everything On The Rocks for free at OnTheRocksRadioshow.com. Subscribe, like, review, and